Hey folks, Justin from TT Fishing. We're proud to partner with OzFish in their Shellfish Revolution Reef Restoration Project, and we're here today at OzFish Oyster World to catch up with Robbie and learn about the project and the processes involved. Let's get our hands dirty. All right, we're here at Oyster World. We've caught up with Robbie. Robbie, to me, you've always been a big part of this project. What is your background and your involvement in the project?
Yeah, so I'm a chef by trade and a filmmaker for 20 odd years, and had a career change. I hurt my foot, I couldn't do it anymore. So I heard about Shellfish Reefs, some of the projects up in the Noosa River and also in the Palmerston Passage would happened, and it made me wonder what was going on. I found out more about it and realised that we'd lost 96% of our shellfish reefs in Moreton Bay. 96%. And no one knows about it. No one knew about it. And so that was the life-changing moment. I needed to fix it. Oysters are incredibly important for our ecosystem. There's two things they mostly do. One is they're the liver of our bay. They filter our water. Each oyster can actually filter 180 litres of water a day. Crazy. Every one, and you can see how many behind us there are. And we've lost 96% of our oyster reefs. We've lost that service, that filtration service that they should provide. And we're talking trillions per hour, scale. Sort of trillions of litres per hour that they should be filtering. It's thought that the entire volume of the bay should be filtered once a week by the oysters, and most bays around the world that haven't been destroyed are like that.
This is a big project. A lot of baskets, an army of people, I'm guessing. Who is it that makes this project happen?
We couldn't do this without the community. We get a lot of fishers to come and actually make the baskets. They collect the shells. They help move the shells around and wash them. They make our baskets and they fill them and stack them, and they put the shellfish reefs back in the water. They're the ones that actually get there and throw them in.
Brilliant, brilliant. So community-driven projects, so any of those guys out there that want to be involved can assist along the way in the project somewhere.
We really need help. We need more people. We need to make this bigger. What we're doing now is a drop in the ocean, literally, and we need more people to drive it so that it can be everything it is. If we've got, we wouldn't have 1% of the reefs back yet, not even close. And so to get the massive amount of hectares that we need to put back, we need help. So we really want you to join OzFish. We want all the community members to join OzFish. That's the easiest way to do it.
Yep.
That way you'll find out all about how the working bees work. You can come down, you can actually put in your own reef.
Ah, cool. And that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and the tricky thing is that only OzFish members know where these reefs are going.
Yep, there you go. There's a few reasons just there to get involved. You're doing amazing things. Where do all these oysters come from? Because there are a lot of oysters here.
Yeah, well, there's obviously a lot of oyster lovers in Brisbane. So every one of these has been an oyster that someone's eaten, or at least tried to eat.
Yep.
The lids come from the commercial shuckers. So they actually take the lids off, throw them in the bin, and they sell their oyster in a half shell like that. And that's what most people would be familiar with at a restaurant. But we also go to restaurants, and we go to places that sell the oysters, and we get the cups as well from them. The cups are really great because they've got lots of little hidey holes. They make little hidey holes for lots of fish and things like that. 3,000 of these bivalves living on each one. That's incredible. And about 600 fish foods on each one. So that's other animals. Amazing. So that's the worms, the prawns, and the crabs, and many other things.
And oysters are the best platform to attract more oysters?
Oysters love to grow on oysters. They seek out oyster shell, and the shell itself gives a chemical signature, which the spat, which is a baby oyster, swims around and finds it. And if they find that chemical signature, that's it, they're on. And they'll use that.
So you're making oyster magnets that then attract lots of other things that then attract plenty of big fish. So let's have a look at these robs, your oyster baskets. Robbie, what is a rob?
It's a robust oyster basket. We needed to put something in the bay that the community could use and utilise. So the scientists have told us that oyster shell was the perfect substrate, or the perfect thing to put in there. And we wanted to be able to make it so that community members, fishers, could pick them up and be the ones that actually deploy it. So we used the wire. A cubby elder, Fred Palin, said make them in triangles.
Oh, yeah.
It was a different project that we're talking about, but he came up with the idea of triangles, and it's a genius one. What it does is it gives us that height that we want, half the weight if they were a cube, exactly half the weight. They're very, very stable, so they sit on the bottom really well and they suck into the bottom and they don't move at all. They're fantastic like that. You get a lot of different shellfish growing at different heights. So down the bottom you get the mussels and the quampies, the pearl oysters, and then all the top sections are all the rock oysters, like Sydney rock oysters. Yeah, so our volunteers come down on our working beats. We have 2 a month. And they come down and they actually make them exactly like that from wire that we get imported.
Brilliant. So you can be involved in creating your own reef, creating a habitat to attract fish. And I see you've got there's a bit of wild machinery going on in here as well. So the Wally the oyster machine, is that something you buy?
No, that's a community built washer.
Yeah.
It's sort of designed on a gold mining trommel.
Yeah.
So we feed water into it, washes the water at the top, we take the water off, we recycle all that water, and it makes the shells nice and clean. As you can see, they're pretty squeaky clean after they come out.
It's absolutely brilliant that it goes from, the oysters delivered here, you've got piles of oysters. Those oysters you have to leave out for a certain amount of time?
Yeah, so the shells are often Pacific oysters, which come from the southern states, so South Australia, Victoria, Tasmania, and sometimes maybe even New Zealand, and they might have something on there we don't want. We don't want the equivalent of a cane toad in our waterways wrecking the place. So we store them in the sun for a minimum of 4 months, turn them over. We like to leave them for about a year, and that kills any of those pathogens. And so that's things that could be starfish, could be sea urchins, it could be worms. There's so many things that it could be that we don't want to have in our waterways. Yeah,
brilliant. And then they go right through the process. The guys are making these, they're filling them, they're packing them up ready to go, stack them up, and then out we go out and we just deploy them. How many of these are out there?
Oh, there's thousands at the moment, thousands in our bay, and we need thousands more.
Yeah, I'd like to take some home with me. I know how effective they've been from some of the images and that I've seen. They're absolutely brilliant. And is there a long-term plan of numbers?
We need to keep putting them in until well past you and I are dead.
Yeah.
We've lost 96%. That's hundreds of thousands of these have to go in, and we've got a few thousand in now. We want it to be hundreds of thousands.
So the Rob, there's a bit of time and effort involved in creating this critter. There's also a cost involved.
Yeah, our biggest expense is the steel. We all know that the price has gone through the roof. Why it's fantastic to have support from Tackle Tactics. They support us really greatly through their projects, and it actually makes more baskets. We're putting in thousands more thanks to you guys. Yeah,
so everybody that contributes along the way to OzFish is contributing straight to the reef.
Absolutely, it's a direct result.
Yeah, beautiful.
So if you're buying tackle and you go into a store like BCF, they might ask you to round it up. So add a little bit extra to round it up to the top dollar. That money comes directly to OzFish and creates this and other habitat. In your area there might be seagrass, seeds for snapper. There might be snags in the rivers. There's so many things that we're doing.
90 projects or something underway currently through OzFish. So by rounding up, you could be putting some lids on these baskets and getting out there and improving that environment. The final stage of the process, Robbie, deploying the rods out in the water. So again, you get volunteers out helping with this side of it as well?
Yeah, very much so. It's probably the most fun bit of it all, is actually making the reef.
Yeah, throwing all the things in the water that we've made. This is pretty amazing. So we're currently building our own little reef here to attract fish, and being a passionate angler yourself, what are the benefits to anglers of these little guys that we're throwing in?
Well, they're fish making machines. So we get 600 animals growing in there, like worms and crabs and shrimp and stuff like that. And the one thing that fish want is food. So they hang around and they eat them. So.
Yeah, excellent, eh? Creating habitat, attracting creatures in their biodiversity, and at the end of the day, creating a home for fish. Buckle up, let's put this last one in there and then give it a little while, we'll be back to fish it.
TT Reef.
Fish on. Robbie, thanks for letting us share in the project from start to finish, seeing how it all happens and that sort of thing, and for sharing it with the guys at home. It really is a community-driven project that people can become involved in hands-on. How do they get involved?
Well, the best way is to join OzFish. Go to OzFish, ozfish.org.au, become a member, and all the information's there.
Yep. Join OzFish, get involved and get out here and help Robbie and the boys get some robs out there in the water, create some environment, attract some fish, and let's get out there and get stuck into them. Fish on. So there you go, folks, get involved. Let's get out there, create that environment, that habitat, create that biodiversity and homes for fish, and get out there and we can get stuck into a few.